This article deals with the short-term rental of cars. For the shared use of cars by persons with similar travel needs, see Carpool. Carsharing or car sharing or car clubs is a model of car rental where people rent cars for short periods of time, often by the hour. They are attractive to customers who make only occasional use of a vehicle, as well as others who would like occasional access to a vehicle of a different type than they use day to day. The organization renting the cars may be a commercial business, or the users may be organized as a company, public agency, cooperative, or ad hoc grouping. Car sharing services are available in over 1,000 cities in many nations. Services include Autolib, City Car Club, GoGet, Greenwheels, Just Share It, Statmobile, GoCar, Zoom, Open Fleet, Zipcar, and recently Locommute in South Africa. Traditional car rental companies have introduced their own car sharing services, including Hertz On Demand, Enterprise Car Share by Enterprise, Rent a Car, Avis On Location by Avis, and Earl Car Share by U-Haul. Notable cooperatively owned car-sharing organizations include Modo and Community Car Share. CoWheels uses a UK community interest company model which it franchises to local groups. In addition, car manufacturers have also introduced their own car-sharing services, including Daimler's Car2Go, BMW's Drive Now, Volkswagen's Quicker. As of December 2012, there were an estimated 1.7 million car-sharing members in 27 countries, including so-called peer-to-peer services, according to the Transportation Sustainability Research Center at UC Berkeley. Of these, 800,000 were car-sharing members in the United States. As of November 2014, the world's largest car-sharing networks across North America and Europe are Zipcar with 767,000 members and 11,000 vehicles, and Car2Go with over 900,000 members and 12,000 cars. According to Navigant Consulting, global car-sharing services revenue will approach $1 billion in 2013 and grow to $6.2 billion by 2020, with over 12 million members worldwide. The main factors driving the growth of car sharing are the rising levels of congestion faced by city dwellers, shifting generational mindsets about car ownership, the increasing costs of personal vehicle ownership, and a convergence of business models. Car sharing contributes to sustainable transport because it is a less car-intensive means of urban transport, and according to The Economist, car sharing can reduce car ownership at an estimated rate of 1 rental car replacing 15 owned vehicles. International terminology: in the United Kingdom, where it is a recent development, the term car clubs is used for what in the United States is called car sharing, or car sharing. In the UK, car sharing refers to what is called carpooling, or ride sharing in the US, namely the shared use of a car for a specific journey, in particular for commuting to work, often by people who each have a car but travel together to save costs. In South Africa, this is called a lift scheme. In the UK, a carpool refers to a fleet of cars made available by an organisation to its employees, for example to travel to customers or between different office locations. In India, in contrast to the vast majority of the Indian car rental market that is defined by chauffeured service, Indian people refer to car sharing as self-drive. Description: the principle of car sharing is that individuals gain the benefits of private cars without the costs and responsibilities of ownership. Instead, a household accesses a fleet of vehicles on an as-needed basis. Car sharing may be thought of as organized short-term car rental. Car sharing has sprung up in different parts of the world and operations are organized in many different ways in different places. Sizes of organizations vary from one shared car, and only a handful of sharers, to organizations that serve a complete urban area. Car sharing differs from traditional car rentals in the following ways. Car sharing is not limited by office hours, reservation, pickup, and return is all self-service. Vehicles can be rented by the minute, by the hour, as well as by the day. Users are members and have been pre-approved to drive. Vehicle locations are distributed throughout the service area, and often located for access by public transport. Insurance: state minimum liability insurance, comprehensive and collision insurance. They do not provide uninsured, underinsured or personal injury protection insurance. Fuel costs are included in the rates. Vehicles are not serviced after each use, although certain programs such as Car2Go continuously clean and fuel their fleet. Some car share operations cooperate with local car rental firms, in particular in situations where classic rental may be the cheaper option. Car sharing can provide numerous transportation, land use, environmental, and social benefits. Neighborhood car sharing is often promoted as an alternative to owning a car where public transit, walking, and cycling can be used most of the time and a car is only necessary for out-of-town trips, moving large items, or special occasions. It can also be an alternative to owning multiple cars for households with more than one driver. A long-term study of city car share members by Robert Silvero, professor of city and regional planning at the University of California, Berkeley, found that 30% of households that joined sold a car. Others delayed purchasing one. Transit use, bicycling, and walking also increased among members. A study of driving behavior of members from major car-sharing organizations found an average decline in 27% of annual VKT. Car sharing is generally not cost-effective for commuting to a full-time job on a regular basis. Most car-sharing advocates, operators and cooperating public agencies believe that those who do not drive daily or who drive less than 10,000 kilometers annually may find car sharing to be more cost-effective than car ownership. But variations of 50% on this figure are reported by operators and others depending on local context. If occasional use of a shared vehicle costs significantly less than car ownership, this makes automobile use more accessible to low-income households. Car sharing can also help reduce congestion and pollution. Replacing private automobiles with shared ones directly reduces demand for parking spaces. The fact that only a certain number of cars can be in use at any one time may reduce traffic congestion at peak times. Even more important for congestion, the strong metering of costs provides a cost incentive to drive less. With owned automobiles, many expenses are sunk costs and thus independent of how much the car is driven. Successful car-sharing development has tended to be associated mainly with densely populated areas such as city centers and more recently university and other campuses. There are some programs for providing services in lower density and rural areas. Low-density areas are considered more difficult to serve with car sharing because of the lack of alternative modes of transportation and the potentially larger distance that users must travel to reach the cars. People who have joined car sharing sell either their primary, secondary, or another off-hand car, after using the service. This reduces the cost of transportation per month by an average of $135 a euro $435, based on University of Berkeley's research in 2008. How it works: the technology of CSOs varies enormously, from simple manual systems using key boxes and logbooks to increasingly complex computer-based systems with supporting software packages that handle a growing array of back-office functions. The simplest CSOs have only one or two pickup points, but more advanced systems allow cars to be picked up and dropped off at any available public parking space within a designated operating area. While differing markedly in their objectives, size, business models, levels of ambition, technology and target markets, these programs do share many features. The more established operations usually require a check of past driving records and a monthly or annual fee in order to become a member. The cost and maximum time a car may be used also varies. To make a reservation, one can either make a reservation online, by phone, or by text messages depending on the company. Unregistered trademark S flexibility. Then the company usually asks all the necessary information such as: what time will the car be needed? How long will the car be in use? Where would you like to pick up the car? What type of car is preferred? There is a higher chance of availability the earlier the reservation is. If a reservation is cancelled, however, one may still be charged. Once the reservations are completed and confirmed, the car will then be delivered at the time and place scheduled. There will be a small card reader mounted on the windshield. Once the customer places their membership card on the reader, it will use what is called blink technology to activate the time and unlock the car. The reader will not work until it is time for that specific reservation. The keys can then be found somewhere inside the car, such as the glove compartment. Depending on the company, the customer may be provided with a key to a lockbox that contains the ignition key itself. Once the customer is set, they are off to their next destination. Although members are often responsible for cleaning the car and filling up the tank when low, the car sharing company is generally responsible for the long-term maintenance of the vehicles. Members have to make sure that when they are finished, the car is ready for the next user to move on. History. The first reference to car sharing in print identifies the Selbstfahrergenossenschafft car share program in a housing cooperative that got underway in Saar-1/4 in 1948, but there was no known formal development of the concept in the next few years. By the 1960s, as innovators, industrialists, cities, and public authorities studied the possibility of high-technology transportation, mainly computer-based small vehicle systems, it was possible to spot some early precursors to present-day service ideas and control technologies. The early 1970s saw the first whole-system car share projects. The prototype system in France lasted only about 2 years. A much more ambitious project called the Weekcar was launched in Amsterdam by the founders of the 1968 White Bicycles project. A sophisticated project based on small electric vehicles, electronic controls for reservations and return, and plans for a large number of stations covering the entire city. The project endured into the mid-1980s before finally being abandoned. In July 1977, the first official British experiment in car sharing started in Suffolk. An office in Ipswich provided a share-a-car service for putting motorists who were interested in sharing car journeys in touch with each other. In 1978, the Agricultural Research Council granted the University of Leeds £16,577 for an investigation and simulation of car sharing. The scheme was not intended for different drivers of a single car but for a driver offering seats in his car. The 1980s and first half of the 1990s was a coming-of-age period for car sharing, with continued slow growth, mainly of smaller non-profit systems, many in Switzerland and Germany, but also on a smaller scale in Sweden, the Netherlands, Canada and the United States. Zipcar, Flexcar and City Car Club were all started in 2000. Several car rental companies launched their own car-sharing services beginning in 2008, including Hertz On Demand, operating in the US and Europe. WeCar by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Earl Car Share owned by U-Haul, and Avis On Location by Avis. By 2010, when various peer-to-peer car-sharing systems were introduced, Zipcar accounted for 80% of the U.S. car-sharing market and half of all car sharers worldwide, with 730,000 members sharing 11,000 vehicles as of September 2012. Car-sharing has also spread to the developing world because population density is often a critical determinant of success for car-sharing, and developing nations often have highly dense urban populations. Many building developers are now incorporating share cars into their developments as an added value to tenants. Municipal government bodies around the world are starting to stipulate the implementation of a car-sharing service in new buildings as a sustainability initiative. This has created a demand for a new model of car-sharing, residential, private access share cars that are typically underwritten by the homeowner association. Handicapped accessibility. Adapting car-sharing vehicles to persons with physical disabilities presents special challenges not faced by traditional car rental. With car-sharing, no mechanic is present to install or adjust adaptive equipment, and that equipment is left unattended after each use. In 2008, City Car Share introduced the first wheelchair-carrying car-share vehicle, the Access Mobile, specifically designed as a fleet vehicle shared with, not segregated from, non-wheelchair users. Innovations. Car-sharing operators are increasingly opting to brand parts of their fleets with third-party advertising in order to increase revenue and improve competitiveness. Transit media, as this out-of-home advertising medium is referred to, is a strategy currently employed by larger car-sharing operators such Canada's AutoShare and the UK's City Car Club. For future applications, many car-sharing companies are now investing in plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. With the use of these types of vehicles, cost of gas consumption can be greatly reduced. Since most customers do not need the vehicle for long amounts of time or distance, it gives the car-sharing company time to collect and recharge these vehicles for additional use. This application can greatly reduce carbon emissions and improve city environments. Another innovation is to calculate and compensate all emissions on behalf of your drivers according to the Kyoto Protocol, for example via reforestation schemes. The world's first certified carbon-neutral car-sharing service is Respira Carsharing in Madrid. Also, car-sharing can be considered as an example of a technological change in consumption, which is a Euro process of mutual adjustment between innovation and its socio-economic environment. A Euro unregistered trademark. This type of innovation poses much potential due to the current state of technological change based on today our Euro unregistered trademark's passenger transportation capabilities. Other countries are already moving into designing concept cars that is solely based as an urban public vehicle. The Faro P70T Conch, Japan. A Euro unregistered trademark's new concept vehicle, is a completely battery-powered, three-seater vehicle which was designed for the purpose of car sharing. The vehicle was made to be small and compact enough to be driven around urban environments without sacrificing parking. The promotion of these kinds of concept vehicles have caught the attention of automotive companies worldwide. In Germany, a pilot project has been started by the semiconductor manufacturer Infineon to replace regular pool vehicles with a corporate car-sharing system. Corporate car-sharing is a more economical solution than company cars in regard to administration, travel and running expenses and maintenance. Insurance. The amount of insurance provided greatly varies between companies, but all companies provide insurance that at least meet the legal minimum requirements for the given region of operation. Companies and organizations: Australia, Green Share Car, Car Next Door, GoGet, Belgium, Cambio, Zen Car, Autopia, Dumstunpunt for Particulier Autodlen, Brazil, Joica, Zaza, Canada, AutoShare, Calgary Carshare, Car2Go, Carshare HFX, Carshare NL, Coast Car Co-op, Common Auto, Community Car Share, Coutini Car Share, Modo the Car Co-op, Okanagan Car Share, Options for Cars, Peg City Car Co-op, Pogo Car Share, Regina Car Share, Saskatoon Car Share, Victoria Car Share, Vtua Car, Zipcar, Czech Republic, IJCZ, Finland, 24 Rent, Shareit Blocks Car, City Car Club, Equirant, P2P Rental, France. Based on electric vehicles, Autolib, Bluely, iMove, Auto-sharing peer-to-peer, Drivi, Auka, Coolicar. Germany, Bundesverband Car Sharing, Flinkster, Car2Go, Drive Now, Multicity, City Car, Statmobil, Book and Drive, Quicker, Tail Auto, Cambio, Drive, Greenwheels, Hertz 24/7, Ford2Go, Share a Star Car, Autonetsa, Tomikor, Statautomar 1/4 NCHEN, Iceland, Viking Cars, India, Zoom Car, Ireland, Go Car, Israel, Reen Type, Israel, Car2Go, Italy, Car2Go, Enjoy, Initiativa Car Sharing, Japan, Times Car Plus, ORIX Car Share, Carico Car Sharing, Korea, SOCAR, Green Car, City Car, Latvia, Mobo Cars, Lithuania, City B, Mexico, Carrot, O2 Auto Compart, Netherlands Green Heels, Snapcar, My Wheels, We Go, Car2Go, New Zealand, City Hop, Your Drive, Norway, Bilkollektivet, Bildealeringen, Trondheim Bilkaktiv Move About, Poland. Fleet Poland, Portugal, Lisbon, Mob Car Sharing. Porto Citizen, Russia, Streetcar, Anytime, Darenta, Delhi Mobile, Serbia, Car for Use, South Africa, Locommute, Spain, Social Car Madrid, Blumov Respiro. Barcelona Vancar, Sweden, Sunfleet, Move About, Bilcoop, Switzerland, Mobility Car Sharing, United Kingdom, City Car Club, Car2Go, Co-Wheels, Easy Car Club, Rent-A-Carlo, Hertz On Demand, amongst others. United States, Buffalo Car Share, City Car Share, Car2Go, Calpingo, Ego Car Share, Enterprise Car Share, FlexCar, GetAround, Outcar, Ithaca Car Share, Just Share It, Relay Rides, Zipcar. See also, Momo Car Sharing, Car2Go, Drive Now, Car Sharing Association. See also, Fleet Vehicle, Car Rental, Carpooling, Peer-to-Peer Car Sharing, Momo Car Sharing, European Demonstration Project on Car Sharing, Real-Time Ride Sharing, Wheatcar, Hitchhiking, Alternatives to the Automobile, Access Economy. Notes and references.